Hello, everyone. Welcome to the GLORIO Chat, the best anime podcast on the internet. You know, I might be risking my nerd card here, but there is a pretty big basketball game going on right now as a recording, and I was possibly thinking of delaying this episode like they would delay an episode of anime for a sporting event.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I mean, we could probably wrap this up in like 30 minutes or something. And get back to
sure, definitely. Right? I mean, you know, how long could a basketball game possibly go? I'm sure it'll still be there.
When I played NBA Hang Time on my Sega Genesis, those matches only lasted like 5-10 minutes at most.
Yeah.
I mean, Gel, are you a Knicks person? Are you like?
Yes, but they're not playing today. It's another
okay. Because
it's another game.
Been hearing a lot about the Knicks lately, so
I am again. Believe it or not, I like things that are not anime, and I'm very into basketball in general. But yes, anyway, nevertheless, we are here to talk about anime. I am here to talk about anime, and I will not be watching the game on the side.
I'm so sorry, Joe.
So, it's all good. Yeah, we are. I can't believe we are like halfway done with the season already. Like, pretty much, we're starting to hit episode 6s, which is crazy.
What a season. 6s and 7s. We're over the halfway mark by this point.
What a season.
Yeah, and there's a lot of shows still going strong. No, there's good shows. Yes, there's good shows. This I would declare this a good season.
Yes.
So really,
let me rephrase what I mean specifically. I'm watching 2 to 3 shows that I am actively enjoying watching.
Yes, and I think that is enough to qualify it as a good season. So anyway, we've got a lot to talk about, including Gundam following up our record-breaking 1 hour discussion last time. But I don't think it's going to go that long this time. But we have a lot to say, so let's get into it. We'll introduce everybody. I'm Gel. I'm joined by Iro.
I'm still here. I'm not dead yet. I may be searching for a reason in this vortex world, but yes. We shall see.
Now back after your break. Now back for 2 episodes in a row, so you can officially say you are still here. But I don't have to. I don't have to scratch the number of days Iro hasn't been on the podcast whiteboard again.
The counter has been reset, and we're gonna try. We're gonna try and make the streak bigger this time.
Yeah, and we're joined by G.
If it's any consolation, Gel, you don't hear me complaining about the number of Evo pools matches that I miss on account of recording this podcast on Sundays. So we all make our little sacrifices.
Look, there's fighting game tournaments going on all the time.
Yes, that is true. Like, there's a fighting game tournament going on literally right now, I think.
I get the NBA playoffs once per year, okay, and game 7s are even more rare, like the straight up elimination stuff. So
fair enough.
Anyway, we are joined by Artemis.
It is good to be here. I am here to cap you guys so that you don't talk about Gundam for an hour. So yes. I'll be the one saying, cut it off, guys. Closing time.
When we start feeling bad that you're sitting in the corner.
At the bar, you guys. Come on.
Right. You're the
Yeah.
We gotta get you like an air horn or something.
I'm like the one going around going, last call.
Yep. Or that meme.
I don't know, Artemis. I do think this podcast may be the great clash of my personal sense of shame and my deep-seated obsessions with this franchise.
Oh man. Oh boy.
Yeah. Well,
we'll get there.
We'll get to that shortly, but we do have other anime to talk about as well, of course. And to kick things off, we can start with our little warm-up here. And Apothecary Diaries is back on the podcast as of the last episode. Yep. We had a lot of things going on last time. Anything interesting happened in the past 2 episodes? Or actually,
1 episode. Yeah. The second episode of this block was delayed for another event.
Yes, thanks to Tom Cruise, we only have one episode of Apothecary Diaries to talk about.
It's an episode sans Mao Mao. Like it's all Jinshi detectiving in the Inner Palace.
This is this episode has some strong when Mao Mao's not on screen, all the characters should ask, "Where's Mao Mao?"
Yes, Jinshi's going around grabbing every consort by the shoulders and saying, "Where's Mao Mao?"
Yes.
Oh, right, because she got like kidnapped. She got like kidnapped or something. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, so yeah, it's a bit of an interesting episode, right? Because it gets to be the Jinshi viewpoint episode where we kind of get to see kind of like his particular, like what are his like going concerns and like what are his responsibilities in, you know, the rear palace, right? Like it's you know, there's this mix of like his desperation to find Mao Mao against his like responsibilities and need to, you know, he has to be the head eunuch of the rear palace, right?
And like has to keep his cover as the imperial brother.
He has to not let us get his voice too deep, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you cannot show too much testosterone,
right? And it's interesting how this episode kind of like evokes those moments, right? You know, like you have the bit where they apprehend the older doctor who is like in on the plot, and you know, she has a like what is very obviously a sort of like post-traumatic like like flashback to the former emperor, right? You know, noting how much Jinshi resembles him, right? And how much that really fucks with him, right?
I think I do want to highlight here, granted I'm sure we've talked about this before, but like having a character even in the past who's like just an unrepentant pedophile basically is narratively extremely heavy and hard to handle, but I think the show handles it fairly well in the sense that it's decades later and everyone is still traumatized.
I think that is the thing, right? Like, it is not necessarily like, I think wisely it is not something they like throw in your face every episode, but there is that constant lingering reminder that like
the shadow looms,
is generational, right? That like the consequences of someone's actions often do not, especially if they're in power, do not disappear overnight, right? That there are people here who are still alive to remember those days and, you know, the long-standing consequences of the previous regime.
So Jinshi's running around trying to find Mao Mao, and and sort of finding various other conspiracies that may or may not be connected. Because that old doctor is connected in some way, even though but they can't question her because she freaking breaks down in a psychotic break.
Well, she also
she tries to she attempts to take her own life, and it does not work.
And consort Lolan, who has heretofore not been terribly relevant to the plot,
right?
The mysterious fourth consort is barge into her section of the palace, and she's gone, right? We've done a Princess Amidala,
Yes, we have pulled, exactly that, right? We have, I have arrived with my cadre of suspiciously similar-looking handmaidens.
And they've seeded for quite a while that, like, she dresses in gaudy fashion and switches gaudy fashion very quickly, to hide this fact.
And it kind of like is it just another like conspiracy of the rear palace coming to a head, right? And kind of like the mystery of like how is this connected to Mao Mao's kidnapping? Like what are the aims of these co-conspirators, in the rear palace, right? Like, it is very much a like, this also very much feels like movers and shakers in the rear palace are beginning to make their like maneuvers, right? Like, I don't expect this to like break out into like open conflict, but it does feel like multiple parties are kind of letting rip with whatever schemes they have been concocting until this point.
And like what Lacan is sending his adopted son to do things,
right? Also on the warpath.
He was soft interrogating Shisho, who's Lolan's father, and he might be colorblind, which we established as part of the like original Imperial lineage or something.
Yes. So
there's a lot.
No, there's a lot going on, right? And it's like it is the thing of like, because of this sort of domino effect, it's like whether you want to or not, your scheme might have to come out in the open because it might be the only thing that can like neutralize somebody else's scheme. Right. You know, like I don't know if like I don't know if they're necessarily building up to it, but there's almost that feeling of, is Jinchi going to have to reveal his identity soon to like head off a succession crisis? You know,
and of course his identity is in, if you recall from many episodes ago, his identity is also in question due to there possibly being a baby switcheroo.
Right, exactly. Like, is he the Emperor's brother, or is he
the Emperor's son?
The Emperor's son, right? With the previous
consort or what have you.
Yes. So yeah, an interesting episode, though. You know, it's. I think they've done a good enough job of seeding this stuff that when it finally comes to a head, because I must also admit, I am also like, when Mao Mao's not on screen, I go, "Where's Mao Mao?"
Yes.
Right? And I think they do a good job of justifying an episode with her absence by like leaning heavily into the other aspects of Apothecary Diaries that they have been building up to this point.
I think it's because we have spoken before on like Mao Mao is somehow involved in everything that's happening in the Inner Palace, but I do think some of these conspiracies that are happening right now don't necessarily feel centered on her, and more that we have taken you because you're a good bargaining chip, right? It's not like about her.
Right. I mean, this is like tying into like what Jinchi was kind of getting at, which is like, you can play ignorant all you want. You're a playing piece in this game now, like whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And that's what we are seeing come to a head here.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I mean, it seems like maybe they handled this one episode okay, but you would not want more episodes without Mao Mao, right? Like,
yeah, like Jinshi's fine,
at least not consecutively, right?
Like even the like original writer is professed that she does not care for Jinshi.
There is a bit of like he is not like good enough to carry this plot like as the viewpoint character. Like, he is useful and supplementary to the story, you know, but
we can handle one Jinchi episode a season.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. I don't know. Artemis, you weren't here when we did the big update. How have you been feeling with the direction the show has gone?
I'm enjoying it. I also think the episode was fine. It was good. Like, it was as good as can be without Mao Mao. But I feel like the show turns us all into Daenerys from Game of Thrones. Like, where are my dragons? Where's Mao?
Where are they?
Yeah, but it's good. I honestly didn't think back when I first started watching this in season 1 that it would be this good. I just I think I assumed from the very first episode that it was going to be like a relatively entertaining, if somewhat fan service heavy kind of show, just because I remember that very first episode like leaning a little into the more fan servicey aspects, like perhaps as a way to try and get many Japanese viewers also leaning in before pulling a little bait and switch.
Wide demographics on the Apothecary Diaries.
Yes,
but it's good. I'm enjoying it. It's probably still like the most solid show of the season for me.
Aquagaze has highlighted. I don't remember if this was on type or just me talking to him at some point, but like some of the storytelling that Apothecary Diaries is doing is something that you can only really do because you have 40 episodes to set up all of these dominoes, right?
It is. We'll get into it with Gundam, right? But we say it all the time, right? That like there are, in fact, like you can call it like cutting the fat all you want, but sometimes in a piece of media, the fat exists for a reason, right? Like sinew, whatever you want to call it. Like it's nice to have like slow buildups can be very effective, you know, and there is no shortcut. There is no like there's no like one episode trick. Like this one trick can let you fit 10 episodes worth of character development into one episode. Like those don't exist. The only solution is time. And I think Apothecary Diaries is a great example of like, because here's the thing, I remember watching Apothecary Diaries and being like kind of similar to Artemis, right? I was like, yeah, this is pretty good. Like, this is like charming. Like, maybe I'll watch a couple more episodes of this.
Right.
And now it's like, yeah, you don't get these payoffs, you don't get these moments without having dozens of episodes to get here.
Mm-hmm. Boy, I looked up how original web novel version of this is and how far we are into the story as a whole, and we're like a third in, maybe. There's so much Apothecary Diaries.
That's a lot. But hey, it's popular, so who knows how many more.
I think it's working for it. I think it's a show that is not only making good use of that time, but almost is tailor made for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. For drama.
It is pretty rare these days for a show to have the luxury of that much time as well, right?
Yeah, like if you're not a long running show,
very uncommon,
or a kids show, like. Getting past, like episode, like having an episode
past like episode 24, right?
It's pretty rare these days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
Well, all right. That
Speaking
perhaps may be a segue into Gundam, which you would think of all shows, Gundam would be able to get more episodes.
You would think, but considering that, Mobile Suit Gundam GQuuuuuX, not to steal your thunder, Jill.
Yes. Thank you.
Considering its short run time of 12 episodes, I think it kind of plays Sir Monkey's strengths as an OVA director mostly. Like, he is very good at economic storytelling, which I think we see a lot of in these 2 episodes.
Yeah.
I think this show really trusts the viewer to keep up and pick up on small things.
Yeah. It's definitely requiring you to fill in a lot of blanks, as we discussed.
Yes, I was thinking about this, and it's like, because he did OVAs, and it's like OVAs, you have 2-3 months, perhaps more, between episodes, and it's like you have more time to sit and pore over it and think about it. And
you also have less episodes. Usually.
Yes, and so it's interesting to see sort of that style applied to a 12-episode anime, and we often complain 12-episode animes are too short, don't have enough time. And I'm not saying that this doesn't have enough time. It probably will not have enough time, especially considering some of the things we're getting into in these 2 episodes. It does have still that same feeling to me of, there's a lot packed in here to think about, even though it's weekly.
We'll pin that thought for a moment.
Yes.
And because I will definitely want to come back to that, particularly in episode 5. But we had episode 5 and 6. Episode 5 I enjoyed more of the 2 just because it was about GQuuuuuX.
that comment we got, that was like, episode 5 is like all of our discussion, all of our hand wringing and howling at the moon regarding episode 4 is really funny considering what happens in episode 5.
Yes.
Yeah.
So here's the thing with episode 5, right? Like, I don't really think I think many of my concerns about episode 4 actually still kind of hold up. But what I like about episode 5 is that it wisely decides to like take things into even more interesting directions.
Right.
I think. Because the crux of episode 5, right, is that we are kind of in the direct aftermath of Shiko Sugai, who could have been a mother to me. Her tragic killing at the dastardly criminal known as Shuji.
Yes.
In all seriousness, I mean, this is the problem, right? This is kind of one of those things, right?
Yeah.
Right, where like because it's 12 episodes, we don't really get a lot of time spent at all on her death, right? Like we get some, like some is better than none, right? Like we get a little bit of like.
You have to let go, G.
No! She's still alive in my head.
In the new type waves. In the Kira Kira.
Yes. I could still feel her soul, okay? But, you know, so right, like we are doing like the direct aftermath of that, right? Which is like, you have Machu kind of like... And I think the interesting with Machu, and I think it's the thing that like makes... like, I don't think she is a good person, but she's a good character, right? And I think that is what makes her interesting in the context of GQuuuuuuX, right? Because it makes her very believable, right? She's a teenage girl, right?
Yes, and she's a teenage girl who doesn't quite understand that she has been living in like
a life of privilege.
A life of privilege, especially in this post-war era.
Exactly, right? Like, this is somebody who, like, if we do the math, right, was a child, like was 7 or something during the 1 year war, right?
Like, and she got to live in a neutral colony that did not have any, assuming War in the Pocket did not happen, did not have any major events
exactly
on it. Right, there was a battle outside of Side 6, but
major killing did not launch his nuke at Side 6.
I guess that still did not happen, so maybe War in the Pocket did happen.
But yeah, kind of like, or the interesting thing about her like reticence in the aftermath of the previous battle is that there is a combination of like Machu is not completely heartless. She recognizes that like, yeah, actually it really is fucked up what Shuji did. But also there is that element of like, but I still like want him. I still want to like follow him because Shuji represents unbridled freedom. Like Shuji, despite the fact that he is dangerous and probably not well in the head, like there is the fact that to someone like Machu, Shuji still represents like the prospect of escaping what she perceives to be the like heavy confines of the world she was raised in. And
which to people outside of that is like grow up you spoiled brat sort of perspective, but to her it's very important, right? Which like you said makes her an interesting character, even if you're like she's kind of annoying.
I think it's like the show does like it does effective storytelling with the time it has. I definitely still think I would have preferred the world where this had been 24 episodes, because we get that great montage with her and Nyan that is like kind of trying to like set up that, okay, these two actually are friends and they hang out. You know, it's very like charmingly shot.
Right, and it's like, yes, you have to take this 30 seconds to pad in for 3-minute segments of 5 episodes. Right,
I wanted one full episode of them hanging out. Right. Just one. Just give me one full episode of them hanging out.
In this world where it's 12 episodes, we just do not have time for that, and so we must make do with this montage that implies, right?
Right, and I think it's just like a montage is just never going to be as effective as like actually spending the time with these characters, because because what we do learn about Machu and Dian in these 2 episodes, I think are legitimately really interesting things about these characters. It's just, so much of it has to be inferred, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just in the context of
go ahead.
Just in the context of Gundam and what Gundam has been, like, you know, it's like try to imagine them doing the like Amuro Ray's character arc in 12 episodes. Like, I just like it wouldn't like from like, you know, hesitant child soldier, you know, to like petulant child to like grim-faced soldier. Like, you can't really do that in 12 episodes.
Right.
And
I think I served to like, you were absolutely correct, to be clear. I did like have to like recalibrate my brain regarding GQuuuuuuX to be like, okay, but this is a 12 episode show, and so I have to like put my expectations in line with a 12 episode show.
Yeah.
Even though Gundam, yes, we can watch Amuro grow over literally hundreds of episodes into his final form over time, and like nothing else can do that if you don't have that much time, as what noted.
I think the problem though is like you get, so in this episode specifically, we have, you know, the whole gist of the episode is that for various reasons Machu can't make it to the clan battle, and Yan has to secretly take her place in the fight.
Sayla has to get in the Gundam.
Yes.
We find out that
to Machu kicking that cop in the nuts, though. That was pretty good. You know,
she does, right? And I think that's also great. Bit of unlike storytelling of how she is sheltered and like live in privilege, because you know it's sure easy to say kill all cops ACAB when the cops are not driving down your street every day looking for you.
Right.
You know,
like in some ways it does, like, I like that moment because it illustrates that no, Machu is fundamentally like if not a good person, she at least stands up for her friends. Like, she has empathy, but also she is still fundamentally naive, right? Like, she's like, oh yeah, no, I can physically assault this cop, and like I will suffer no material consequences.
They won't shoot me. I'm white.
Exactly. Yeah, that's quite literally the dynamic. Like,
I'm a white girl. I'm safe, right?
Yes, like that's why.
You get the impression
wants to get the fuck out of there, because Nyan knows exactly where this type of like confrontation with the cops can go. Right.
Yeah. She's the type of person that you feel like if she grows up a little and learns a little more about the world, she'll probably be okay, or at least she has a chance, right? But yeah. So what I was trying to get back around to was the, in this episode we get the bit with Jan piloting the Gundam.
Yes. There's a lot. There's a lot there.
She can in fact see the Kira.
Oh boy, can she!
I know about the Kira. I don't know about the Kira. This was interesting. There's a lot of implication here to unpack, because Nyan's like,
okay, so
makes it clear it was not the first time she's been in space, possibly not even the first time she's been in a mobile suit.
Yeah.
I only have a very surface level concept of what new types are, so like I don't know if there was anything special about her or whatever that was going on here, but I do think it was interesting because I feel like I feel like Jan and Machu and Shuji are supposed to be almost like tritagonists. Is that a real word?
Sure. Yeah.
And Jan has not really been.
Yeah. I would like more Nyan.
So I think it was good to kind of make her, I guess, equally important in the.
Well, let's set up the scenario for why, like how Nyan takes the very interesting turn she does here, because her opponents this week, it's the infamous, as we all know, it's the Black Bi-Stars,
the Black Binary Stars.
Yes,
binary.
Yes. We are once again dipping our pen, our quill into the vast tapestry of the 1 year.
We cannot spend more than 2 minutes on this.
Oh, come on! Let me talk about the Black Tri-Stars.
Go. You got 2 minutes.
No. I will talk as long as I want about these guys. So we are introduced to Gaia,
Artemis, get the air horn,
right? Who are
stop playing music off stage.
In a lot of ways, right? Well, the point I'm trying to make is that like this is actually an interesting choice of like enemies to fight this week, because they kind of have the same origin story as Shiko from last week, right? Except these are the OGs. Right? These are veterans of the 1 year war. These were literal monsters of the week Amuro had to fight in the original Gundam. Right?
They were particularly noted monsters of the week. Like
yes, maybe the most iconic monsters of the week.
Freaking defeating the Jetstream attack was referenced in Digimon.
They sound like Sailor Moon villains, like comical Sailor Moon villains to me.
I mean, there's a little bit of that, right? Like the Black Tri-Stars get introduced. I mean, you just had to look at their designs. You could tell, oh yeah, these guys were invented in 1979. You know, like they were like introduced as like the tough thug, like Zeon, like aces were like, we're gonna put that kid and his white Gundam in place, with our new fancy robot, the Dom, and they kill a beloved character. Amuro fucking murders them. It's all in good fun, but in this world where they didn't fight Amuro, they're alive and slumming it out as like space truckers, except for Mash, who wisely got out and then went into municipal politics. I'm glad for him. He seems happy. I'm happy for him, truly. But anyways, the point is, right, that these are once again ghosts of the 1 year war who like cannot let the war go, right? The specter of the 1 year war continues to hang over everybody. Right, and the thing that's so interesting about
including the viewers of this show.
Yes, and that's the thing that makes Machu so interesting, right? Because as we say, she is a character so disconnected, right? Like to her, the 1 year war is a name, a distant concept. It's a foreign land. But for basically the rest of the cast, other than Machu, we are still sort of living in the spectrum.
Nan is here because she's a refugee. She was displaced by the 1 year war.
Yes,
from somewhere.
Yes, and. Anyways, so we get Gaia and Ortega in their DOMs. I really like the design of the GQuuuuuX DOM. This actually might be one of my favorite redesigns in GQuuuuuuX.
They didn't change too much.
Well, that's the thing. The GQuuuuuuX DOM is a great example of like you can't fix perfection. Like, the Dom is quite literally like one of the greatest mobile suit designs ever conceived. You know, like Kunio Okawara is goated. You know, he has never missed.
I mean, I'm a thin guy, can't hurt you.
Except for all the times he's missed. But you know, look, man, he invented the scope dog. He invented the Dom. What more?
Or a person on 3 minutes.
I'm not. Hey, I already knew. I'm not even talking about the Black Tri-Star. I'm talking about the Dom.
It's fine. It's
fine. I'm talking about the MS-09 Dom.
Yes.
But
well, excuse me. Shouldn't it be the MS-09 R Rick Dom?
Oh, you're right. These are Rick Doms, aren't they? Are they? Yes, they are Rick Doms. You are correct. My bad. Because these are Doms for space use. Yes. MS-09 Rick Dom.
I'm almost as sick as you.
Yes, you are in fact almost as sick as me. But anyways, point is, I like this design. I think it's very novel. Like just to explain, right, for people not familiar, the gimmick of the Dom in the original Gundam is it's like the big heavy suit, but it's like deceptively fast because it has hover jets on its feet, right? And so it can kind of skate around and like kind of run circles around opponents who like have to like, you know, hoof it like peasants. And their interpretation of that gimmick here being that its third back booster is secretly a transforming third leg, I thought was very novel. I love it. It's like maybe one of my favorite little gimmicks that GQuuuuuX has brought to fore.
I think in the original, it's just like it has boosters in its skirt. And here it's just like, fuck that. It's just another, we strapped another leg on the back.
Yes, exactly. Dom literally packing a third leg.
There's our title.
Yep.
But yeah, so in the context of all this, right, we get Neon piloting the GQuuuuuX, and yeah, like as you guys were alluding to, this emphasis that like this might not even be her first rodeo. And I think the thing that's like so interesting about Neon, especially compared to Shuji, right? Because if we're going to talk about these characters and how, you know, I went on and on about how sickening it was that Shuji murdered this beautiful, loving housewife. In all fairness, Neon's vibes are not great either. But I think
but now she's an evil woman.
Well, I don't even think that necessarily as much as like this is somebody who has clearly had to fight for their survival before.
Right.
Like, and so the way in which she lashes out in the mobile suit, I think is so interesting. The ways it contrasts with like Shuji's like dissonant serenity.
Right. Shuji just doesn't care almost, and whereas Neon's like, I'm being pushed to the edge, and I will flail and thrash and stab whoever I need to.
She lashes out like a feral animal.
Yeah.
And I think that's like really interesting, you know, that like, and through that rage, through that primal like survival instinct is able to tap into the Kira the same as the other two, right? Through another emotional vector, basically. And I think in the context of the fight, I think there's like a lot of ways you can read Neon's, disturbing exhilaration.
we get the Ray fisheye lens on her.
Yes. Neon is loving piloting the Gundam. She's having the time of her life, committing murder.
Yeah,
you know,
possibly the only time we've seen her having fun.
Yes, which I think is really
other than the ED.
but I think that's really interesting, right?
Yeah.
That like
the euphoria, the battle high.
Right, like Neon is not exactly miserable. She's not exactly a miserable character, but she's clearly like. I think she has learned through whatever her life experiences are that showing weakness, like, is dangerous.
I mean, we see her in the next episode. Just like we get a brief moment of her just going about her routine, and it's like kind of dull, or you know, it's not fun. She's not having a good time doing this. Yeah,
she's very armored. She's very, you know, against the world. And the fact that like, and I think I kind of like what is being expressed here, that like, because like if we take Neon as sort of the representative character of like the oppressed underclass of the UC, right? The people who fall through the cracks, the people who were not brought the freedom, the space noid freedom promised by a Zeonic victory. Then Neon represents like the exhilaration of like discovering the liberatory power of violence, almost. Like
Yeah.
Like stick with me here, right? Like this idea that like the Gundam can be a liberator, as it once was in the original timeline, right? That to pilot the Gundam is to wield a great and terrible power, and that there's the potential to wield that great and terrible power in the name of liberation, in the name of freedom, even, right? That she is somebody who has been powerless, if not her whole life, then at least what we have seen of her in this show. And she finds power empowering. She finds it freeing, liberatory. And obviously she takes this to a very like sinister logical conclusion. But I think it's really interesting because that instantly creates a new vector, a new dynamic amongst our three of like why they pilot the Gundam, right?
Yeah.
Like Shuji is practically possessed by his Gundam. Machu pilots the Gundam for what she perceives to be freedom, right? You know, I get to go out I get to skip school and
I'm making so much money.
Yeah, you know? And then Nyan is the one who like pilots the Gundam and realizes like maybe she has not like maybe it has not quite clicked yet. Like that the Gundam could be a political tool, but she's already realized that the Gundam could materially enable her freedom, her escape from this life. And who would not like fall into joyous ecstasy upon realizing that for the first time in like their clearly very like tumultuous life?
Yeah, I think her setup here for murder was a lot more interesting and satisfying than Shuji just being a weird anime guy last time. And I think it definitely reinforced what we've probably been thinking maybe about her character or whatever. Like it was very good compact storytelling, as Iro, you were saying.
Yes.
Right. So
she's been so buttoned up so far, and so to see like her suddenly overflow, right, and literally kill a man.
It is a little
like,
bit
whoa,
of that, like, yeah, it's a little bit of like that fucking Daisy meme, right? They're like, "Are you tired of being nice? Don't you want to go eat shit?"
Right.
Like, like Nyan who like wilts from the cops, right? Like doesn't express any emotion, and she's like. And it all just comes out at once, and it's very cathartic in the as much as it is like disturbing. You know, the way she like just grabs Shuji's red Gundam and uses it as a meat shield.
Yep.
You know, it's so.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Skull Shooter Nyan, like.
Yes. You know, look, we already made that joke about Shuji last week.
That's true.
Yeah, so I wanted to come back to the point about the compact storytelling again, because I do feel like the end of this episode and going into my broader feelings on episode 6 and these two episodes in general. At the end of the episode, or toward the end of the episode, we get the Machu finding out that Nyan was the one, because she was detained and could not be there.
She
but
was stuck in a locker with Xavier,
right. And so she's like, who's piloting the Gundam? And then when she finds out it's Nyan, she's really mad because now it's like, I had this special thing with Shuji.
That's so much funneled into one thing. I feel like, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
So okay, so the point I wanted to make on this is that it was like, it was because of the amount of time we've had. I like mentally understood, and it made sense to me, like why Machu's upset and why we as an audience, I think, we're meant to feel something about their friendship being damaged here or something, or
but you're
emotionally,
what you're getting at.
Is
so what you're getting at that like she spent no time with Shuji, like.
Well, really, either of them, other than our little montage at the beginning of the episode. And this is why I wanted the let's have a hangout episode and make us as the audience feel feel the connection, and then when we break the connection, it feels like it means something.
What if
I think sorry, I think G and I have more context of Gundam as a whole, and it's like, I think to me, and maybe to you, I'm not sure, but to me, because of that context of like how new types are and stuff, like that read to me very
I have no
appropriate in a way of like, yes, no time has passed and Machu is so deeply in with Shuji, like psychically almost, like they're connected, right? It's like it's upsetting, right? Like she's
with
you're just like, what the hell's wrong with you?
With no other context, to me, it almost feels more like a dumb teenage crush or something, but
right, and like it
to read as that definitely,
it's like both, and
it probably is to
like,
some, right, and I'm sure it is to some extent, right, but like that's all it seems like to me, which is fine, but like the I mean, that's age appropriate perhaps, but like the I don't know, but it didn't feel like it had the impact.
It's like because it's almost unhinged, right?
Supposed to have, but and it kind of extends into as we get to episode 6, where I feel like we just got everything set up, and now we have to tear it down because it's episode 6.
That's Surmaki. That's Diebuster, right? Like,
I want to get into this stuff with Machu a little bit, as it relates to both episodes 5 and 6, right? Like we kept making that joke about how Machu is a middle class white girl, and I feel like this is
and she is so into her biker boyfriend,
right? And I think you guys can both be right. I think that like this can feel a little rushed. It can feel a little contrived because of the like pace at which it is happening,
right? And like I find like the rushness almost works for what they're trying to do, right?
Right, because like I think for those of us who are, and this is again where I become increasingly convinced that like, hey, if you're listening to this, if you're like, I want to get into Gundam, and I don't really care like where or how, but I just want to like watch a Gundam. Watch Witch from Mercury. Just
this
is
not
watch
really okay.
This is not the one.
I don't think GQuuuuuX is the one.
No, of course not. I thought you were going to say how.
Watch the original?
Yeah, because what 1, 2, and 3 are on fucking Netflix. Like,
right, because I'm sick in the head. You think I'm going to
like,
tell people
you have Netflix, or you're bombing off somebody who has Netflix, and no shame, absolutely, fuck Netflix. All right,
Mobile
Suit Gundam 1, 2, 1, 2. Mobile Suit Gundam 1, Mobile Suit Gundam 2, Soldiers of Sorrow, and Mobile Suit Gundam 3, Counters in Space are all on Netflix.
They are.
Just watch them.
They are. Yes, and they are fantastic movies. I was just trying to make the argument. Like, look,
the point is GQuuuuuX is not the one.
No, absolutely not. No, absolutely not.
Because the thing that's so fascinating about this dynamic is that it's because Machu doesn't know. Okay, so I'll kind of break down why it works. Because Machu does not know what the Kira is. She does not know what new types are. Of course, she experiences this like otherworldly, out of body experience,
right? Like, yes,
as like this sort of like psychic like ecstasy with another person, right? She's like, oh, it's me and Shuji. Like, we're special like this. We have a connection, right?
And we are like,
and those of us who know what new types are go, no, girl, you're just like the next step in human evolution. And I kind of love this.
Because, you're being sucked into the whirlpool of a psychopath.
Right, because like the thing about new types, right? The fundamental like thesis Tomio's trying to make about new types is that like the hope is that like the advent of new types is that humanity as a race, as a species, would become all inclusive, right? That by all thoughts being shared in the Gestalt, like
human instrumentality.
Yes, that like we would all become equal, essentially, right? That we would all reach mutual understanding.
Our hatreds and problems with each other would disappear because we can connect one to one.
And so the point of that is that new type is by its very nature was always meant to be inclusive. But Machu frames new types as an exclusive thing, right? As a solitary thing.
I'm special.
Shuji.
Yeah.
And so when Nyan shows that she can also see the Kira, that she also is a latent new type, I think it's really wonderful that Machu has this like very petulant, shitty, awful, toxic reaction.
Right.
Because she's like, how dare you? That was for me and Shuji. I don't want to share my mutual thoughts and emotions with you. Like, it's...
Right.
It's so perfectly in line with Machu's character, because now she's realizing, oh, she's not that special. Like, she is not, in fact... Like, piloting the Gundam did not, in fact, make her the chosen one. And, I as a teenage girl who was like desperately trying to escape the mundanity of the life she has been raised in. Like, it's such a good way to, like, I think at least to Iro and I, as people like, you know, who have been stuck with the UC for this long, I think this was a very economic way to, like, get to that.
I liked it a lot.
The storytelling.
Yeah. No, I agree that conceptually, yes, I love that that's the direction they went. It fits her character perfect. I guess I was just going toward I feel like it maybe didn't have as much impact because we didn't have enough time to build their bond and then break it, right? So, but yeah,
we need to do the next episode. We need to move on.
So episode 6. Okay,
there's a lot.
This is where I felt even more than the flashback episode.
Yes.
I felt like I did. It's not that I didn't know what was going on, but I felt like I really did not care because I barely know, like, other than I've heard these names before and have some idea.
This is the episode that tips over the edge into, like, if you are not a Gundam freak, if you are not a Gun Ota, you will not be getting as much out of this show, right? Like, you need to do your fucking homework.
This is a sort of a dangerous episode, I think. This was a dangerous choice on Tsurumaki's part. And as a Gun Ota, as a Gundam sicko, I clapped and cheered when my favorite Glup Shidos showed up.
Yes, when your favorite war criminal appeared.
Yes, we'll get there. I'm building up to it. But I think, because here's the thing, I think up till this point, you could kind of get by on the cultural osmosis of Gundam.
Right.
Like, you
and
know,
they did the whole one episode flashback.
You know,
like,
I think I don't think
you can't.
necessarily had.
You can't with fucking the Zeta stuff. Like,
this is getting to Zeta, which, for context, Gundam Zeta, which was made in 1984 or 85, is the direct sequel to the original 1979 Mobile Suit Gundam. I won't give the full plot summary, I promise, but just the basics of it is that, you know, it takes place 7 years after the original Gundam, and it is sort of like concerned with the, like, in many ways, this is why it feels part and parcel with GQuuuuuuX, and this is why I think actually this works if you are familiar with Zeta, is that Zeta itself, the original Mobile Suit Gundam Zeta, is they work very concerned with, like, how the scars of war do not fade easily, how conflicts and ideological, like, clashes do not disappear just because one side wins a war, and that often these things can often take on much uglier, grotesque forms if allowed to fester. Right? If the, like, systemic, like, origins of the original conflict are not addressed, they will just get worse and worse.
What basically the Federation, the 1 year war in regular Mobile Suit Gundam, has in the intervening years established the Titans, which are a task force meant to hunt down Xeon remnants, but have become a fascist military wing that is basically taking over the government because they have been afforded so many rights for hunting down the remnants and being given so many powers.
Right. It is a bit of a he who hunts monsters things. The Titans have been empowered with so much, like, authority to hunt down what remains of Xeon that those powers can be interpreted very liberally to basically strip everyone of their, like, basic rights, and, you know, the, like, cataclysmic war that results from trying to.
So how does this relate to GQuuuuuuX?
Yeah. So again, like, that sounds great.
Yes, right. Yeah. So how does this relate to GQuuuuuuX?
I don't know any of that stuff, right? Like, watching the episode.
I'm just trying to use that as, like, the grounding, you know, just a basic explanation. Because this episode 6, introduces many plot points from Zeta. Like, many. Like,
we are closer in the timeline to Zeta than the 1 year war.
Yes, then thematically, right? Like, even if the actors are slightly remixed, like, GQuuuuuuX is now positioning itself in episode 6 to be kind of a Zeta. GQuuuuuuX, like, people made this joke that, is Gundam GQuuuuuuX secretly going to be actually a Zeta rewrite? Because of the way it lines up. Like, GQuuuuuuX is positioning itself to be another story about the specter of the 1 year war, the specter of the original Gundam, but just under, you know, different like contexts and circumstances. You know, we have, you know, the introduction of, like, multiple characters from Zeta. Like, I'm not gonna just, like, break them down all one by one, but I'll just say there are many characters here who were notable characters in the original Zeta Gundam. The foremost of them is Bascom, the goggled gentleman who appears towards the end of this episode.
Gentleman. Yeah.
He is the way he's often described as he is basically Gundam's like Hermann Goring. He is basically like, what if the like dumbest, most violent, jackbooted fascist thug was given like the executive power to control the lives of millions? And that's who he was.
Terrible person.
Terrible person. And to be clear, one of my favorite characters in Zeta, he's so evil. He's such an asshole. he's such a nasty man.
Right. And this is sort of like starting to become this is now an issue with GQuuuuuX, where it's like we have 50 episodes of Zeta Gundam. We have so many years of implication just behind the name Bascom that he shows up and the gears turn in our heads, right? All of those things funnel down into what is happening on screen. If you haven't watched Zeta Gundam, tough luck.
Yep. I'm like, who's that guy?
Who's that? Let me look him up on fucking gundam.fandom.com/wiki.
Yes.
Yep.
It's a difficult,
right.
I mean, but before you guys get too much deeper, the only thing I kind of got out of this episode was some important ladies showing up that they want to kill.
Oh,
Chalia Bull might be trying to stop.
Chalia Bull's out of his fucking mind. That dude's insane.
Chalia Bull is a problem.
The only joy I think I got out of this episode was Chalia Bull flying in under a rock with a jetpack and shooting two dudes, and that was probably the only.
Everyone episode 1, 2, 3 was like Chalia Bull, our favorite new, commander, and he is so menacing.
There is some GQuuuuuX relevant plot where I forget the lady who's the head of the Pomeranians is basically selling them out to get rid of the Gundam,
right.
and
so
and what I think so there is some GQuuuuuX plot, but like I felt like the core, like most of it was just I don't know.
And this is running to like what the dark side of how Tsurumaki directs things, right? Where it's like we all love Fooly Cooly all day long, and it's like Fooly Cooly was just Tsurumaki putting whatever the fuck he wanted in, shit he liked. He likes this Vespa, it's going in there. He likes this model guitar, it's going in there just cause he likes it. And we're all like, haha, yay! And now that's like, because it's so reliant upon somebody having watched all of these Gundam shows, it's like, oh yeah, Tsurumaki puts in this stuff from Zeta, and if you have not watched Zeta, you cannot keep up.
Yep.
And that's the thing, is that I think in a Fooly Cooly, the style could override it,
Right. And it was not reliant upon you having knowledge of another thing.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you don't know that's a Rickenbacker base, you're fine. It's yeah.
So I think generously, I do think that this episode of GQuuuuuX still is important because it is clearly building up to clearly some shit is about to go down, right? Like this is sort of a belly of the whale kind of like Machu is at her emotional lowest. Anki is going to sell them out, it seems, unless there's like a secret, well, that was actually my 4-dimensional chest.
My plan, yep.
Right.
Like there has been a rift torn between Nyan and Machu, right?
Yeah.
Like they,
Machu seems to understand she's being unreasonable and wants to fix it.
Right. Machu's like regular life is also being sacrificed as a result of her like clan bat like activities, right? Like her relationship with her mother is disintegrating even further.
I love how I need to highlight this as a bit of economic storytelling. I love how Machu's phone, she has her mother in her contacts under her mother's full name, first and last name.
It's so
what a good bit of characterization to me.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think that stuff is like really well done and really establishing like the emotional state of these characters. I really want to shout out actually, again, to speak to like economic storytelling. The bit we get of Nyan in this episode, I actually really like because it immediately contrasts like Machu is like, oh, I can't believe the girl I thought was my best friend is piloting a robot with my boyfriend. And then she's like doing handstands and like, scrolling on her phone. Meanwhile, Neon, like, if you look at her room,
she has the like application for like residence, right?
Yes, she has a residency application. She has the deadline marked for like university enrollment. Like, Neon is somebody who desperately just wants a life here, and she will, and like, it really shows that, like, even in their like emotional nadirs, their class, their backgrounds, their class, their upbringing, like, also like creates that rift between them, because like, at least up till this point, Machu fundamentally cannot understand, like, cannot truly understand where Neon has come from, right? Because she has never experienced like that life,
that type of hardship. Yeah,
and I think that's like a really like good setup and dynamic. And yeah, it's kind of interesting that and then they were kind of tying this all to like, yes, their next clan battle, like, and this is like kind of like where I was hoping this clan bat stuff would eventually go, because they hint at it with like Shiko. Like, Shiko's Gelgoog, right, is being supplied to her by, like, these clan bats are being funded by like corporations behind the scenes, right? Like, we have these manufacturers who are basically using clan bat as a testing ground for their new mobile suits.
Yeah,
and we are kind of having this come to a head with the next fight, right, where and I finally realized what it was. They're called their next opponent called the 12 Olympians.
Yep, not the Titans, the 12 Olympians.
The Titans, yes, the 12 Olympians. Very good. Where it is being revealed that yes, like the Federation, or a faction of the Federation, are basically smuggling a prototype mobile suit into the colony.
Through this, it's the same fucking dude signing them in from War in the Pocket.
I saw that. It's very good. Yes, and like, we are seeing that, like, whether Machu wants it or not. So this is kind of like, so to kind of bring this all to like what I'm hoping for for GQuuuuuX. Machu has so far, like follow me with this. Machu has basically viewed piloting the Gundam as an apolitical act, right? Like, to Machu, piloting the Gundam is just, hell yeah, I gotta hang out with my sick friends. And
I'm getting so much money by punching people in the face.
And I think what the point of this episode is supposed to like introduce and set up for the next episode is that you cannot pilot the Gundam as a mindless act. Like, to choose to pilot the Gundam in Gundam, the franchise, is an explicit political statement. Like, to pilot the Gundam means you must stand for something, because like the like 3 or 4, it's a little confusing, I might need a chart. There's like 3 or 4 different political factions basically all descending on side 6, right? All with their own distinct agendas that are all going to come to what appears to be a very violent confrontation. And Machu will need to make some choices about what it means to pilot the Gundam, about what it means to like to make that type of decision, right? Like, who do you fight for? Who will you fight? Like,
why are you fighting? Yeah.
And I think that is where, like, for me, this episode is really interesting, even if I do think that for people who are not familiar with Zeta, I think a lot of this will like fly over your head. But I think even without the Zeta, again, I can't like cut myself off from that. But I do think even without the Zeta stuff, I do think we are clearly setting up for a big like mid-season climax, so to speak.
I understood broadly what was going on. It's just like none of all the themes and implications and things you're talking about, which are, to me, are the important thing to care, are lost on me, right? But like plot wise, I understood that okay, there are all these forces coming together and something's about to go down, right? And I think the next episode is something like, Machu's rebellion or something. Is she going to take the Gundam and go get out of here or do something? I don't know, but I'm very interested. I almost feel like the next episode may have very big implications on my final opinion on GQuuuuuX. Let's put it that way.
That would make sense.
This is a turning point
what they're
going to do with the series. And
episode 4, if this were a 6-episode show, episode 4 would be coming up, and that's where shit gets real in Die Buster.
Right. Right. This is the halfway turning point where we gotta.
This is without a doubt like if you are familiar with the imagery in that next episode preview, next episode is absolutely going to be a major inflection point for GQuuuuuuX. I will go through it very quickly. Just my last Gundam Glup Shido talking. I can't believe of all the fucking Zeta characters Tsurumaki was gonna bring back, fucking Gates Kappa. Like, maybe the Glup Shido to end all Glup Shidos. Like...
This fucking guy.
Like, this poor dude whose only job in every timeline is to be the one mentally stable cyber new type.
I need to communicate when I watch this with Zig and Nakugaze, and Bascom shows up and Zig shouts, "Oh no!" Not Bascom. And then 30 seconds later they say Gates Kappa. He shouts, "Oh no!" at about twice the volume.
And then you get the triple whammy.
To Murasame.
To Murasame. Do Murasame.
Stupid.
Which, if you know what Tsurumaki is picking up or putting down, that is an extremely manic choice.
I don't remember if I was on tape or not where I joked about To Murasame showing up. But I definitely did weeks ago.
Like, definitely, and I'll say it here. All right, we are now 2 episodes ago. I would have said we were sitting at a solid 0% chance of Yazan Gable showing up in GQuuuuuuX. With the introduction of the Titans, we are now at a 15% chance of Yazan Gable showing up. If the Hammurabi mobile suit makes an appearance in GQuuuuuuX, we are rapidly approaching 30% chance of Yazan Gable showing up in Gundam GQuuuuuuX. And I don't know what to do with that information.
The final boss of GQuuuuuuX will be the Bol Noxtamon. We need to move on. We need to stop.
I think at that point, on that note.
Yeah,
I will say there actually was an interview with Tsurumaki.
Oh my god.
They actually asked him, how come you set this 2 years before Zeta rather than during Zeta? And he actually did explicitly say, it's because I didn't want to involve Paptimus Shirako in the plot.
I would... we can't get into that.
We can't get into that.
What's that I hear? Some music playing in the background?
Yep.
Yep.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right.
Yep.
Yes.
Well...
He called Paptimus Shirako a troublesome character for narratives.
I agree. Moving on.
Yep.
Tune in next time for another hour of Gundam talk.
We kept it under an hour this time.
No, it was under an hour.
Thank fuck.
Technically, we talked about Apothecary Diaries.
We didn't even get to talk about them making those dumplings.
We can't.
All right.
Sorry.
Artemis, what have you been watching?
Please save us.
I've been watching all of the wrong Gundams for the last 20 years is what I've been watching.
That's fine. I've still only watched 2 myself. I've only seen Wing and Witch from Mercury, so it's
my goodness.
Amazing.
So I have been keeping up with Witch Watch.
Okay.
Which has endeared itself more to me as it's gone on.
Because early on, or at least I was not particularly endeared, and I don't think you were particularly endeared either at the start.
I didn't care for the first episode. That it was fine. I didn't have any strong negative reaction. I just didn't really care too much either way about it. But then the second episode, I liked a lot, and then the third episode, I was back to it's all right. But I think this show, when the timing lands, it lands. It has a very good sense of comedic timing, and it usually uses it very well. I think where it loses perhaps some people, especially overseas, is if they just don't get all the references, because there are just a lot of references being thrown at you left, right, and center. And if you don't know, you don't have to know all of them to laugh, but you have to know a good chunk of them probably to get why this is supposed to be funny.
Right.
So I think it's the kind of show that depends upon at least some cultural knowledge, both in anime and just in Japan in general, to find it entertaining. But where it does really shine, I think, is when it just does not care about the central plot, the overarching plot at all, and just goes fully into the kind of more slice of life.
I find this is often the case in shows.
Kids hanging out. There's nothing wrong with the overarching plot. Like, it's fine. It hasn't really gone deep enough for me to really have a strong opinion on it. But luckily, the show does tend to lean more often than not into it's more like these kids are idiots and they're hanging out kind of thing. The previous couple of episodes have been split in half into just kind of two kind of sketches, basically.
Sure, yes.
So it's taking that kind of large sketch.
The good old too short format. Yeah.
Yeah, which I do like. I think it suits the show.
Yeah.
Generally. Last episode was good. Like the second sketch especially is just them trying, like the main character Nico the witch and her other childhood friend are just decided that they're going to make YouTube videos just because they can.
Of course.
And it's just them like attempting to make YouTube videos, them being terrible, the other main character coming in and saying, "Hey, your shit is terrible. Let's talk to our classmate. He's a YouTuber." And he's a character that everyone refers to openly as a loser, like to his face.
Oh,
like, okay. Oh yeah, you're the loser social misfit, right? And he's like, yeah, that's me.
Okay.
But his YouTube videos are also terrible because he is the kind of guy who's like, yeah, I make YouTube videos. I mean, you wouldn't get it. It's a niche topic. I reviewed this movie, but I only make a point of reviewing B movies. You wouldn't get it. Like,
of course,
that kind of thing. And so they do make a YouTube video, and it does earn them, like, it does go viral, and it's them playing a game that this character made.
Okay.
And reacting to it because it's a shitty game.
Nice.
And I know it all sounds kind of lame when you explain it, because it's not the kind of show that you can explain very well. It's not that funny. But when you watch it, I think the timing is good. The timing is like everything depends on it in the show for the jokes to land. And when they land, they are good. I was genuinely laughing.
Good.
So it's a good show. I'm more positive on it than I was.
Nice.
All
That's
right.
good to hear.
Yeah.
And you're also still watching Black Butler?
Oh, okay. Oh my god.
I could not. Have I opened the gate on something?
You could not talk about two shows that are so completely different, despite ostensibly being fantastical. This shit is dark.
Okay.
So this whole arc is centered around a character in I think it's 1889, like
all right,
a backwater German town, right? And she has inherited this role as the Emerald Witch. Like, she is a descendant of a now long dead witch, and she has to carry out her role in order to save her village from this werewolf.
Okay.
Kind of.
Is this Undead Murder First? Like,
no.
Yeah.
So she and the village have been insisting all along that werewolves are real, and that her job is to help solve this issue so that she and her villagers can live once again peacefully without fear of being attacked by whatever is in the surrounding forest. And if you know anything about Black Butler, it's that while there are indeed supernatural entities, usually when other people insist, like not the main characters insist there are, it is not. It is some.
I was about to say
man-made.
I was about to say, like, I don't know a lot about Black Butler, but I'm pretty sure there are vampires.
There's demons.
Werewolves are not that much of a stretch.
And Shinigami. But in this case, spoiler alert, no, they are not werewolves. And all along, the miasma that has been driving people crazy and killing people if they venture out into the forest without their magical talismans is a man-made experiment. And we find out in the most recent episode by some naming, not coincidence because someone gives it a name. Her last name is Sullivan, and there are a bunch of other things that happened, and they're like, yes, and the name we shall call it will be Sarin, and they have made behind her back like sarin gas. Like,
are you fucking
I am not
kidding me?
What?
I am not joking. Yes, I am not kidding. In universe, this is the birthplace of sarin gas.
So you would say
that seems
what?
Insanely tone deaf for an anime to do.
You would say then that this Black Butler arc is closer to a Professor Layton than a Scooby-Doo.
Fucking up. Oh Jesus!
So the main character, the girl, all along has been convinced that she is a descendant of this witch, and that with a magical spell she can help solve this issue. But they are just like literally somewhere below in the basement. There's a factory, like literally a fucking factory, and they are just making it.
It really is Phoenix Wright versus Professor Layton.
Oh my god! Like.
That is not the direction I thought that story was going.
I don't think anyone.
Yes. Of course, for listeners not aware, Japan has noted history with the sarin gas in 1995. An evil cult.
Yes,
a real life evil cult released poison gas and killed a lot of people.
Yeah, I was going to say, it is, by the way, extremely recent. Like I know 1995 is
no. If I was alive, it must be recent.
Many people are still alive. The most of the people that were arrested and tried got the death penalty, and they died in 2018. So it is recent.
Oof.
Yeah. I will say, like, for better or worse, right? It's like Japanese media, not just Japanese media, all media in general, is like pulled straight from the headlines is unfortunately not unheard of, right? You know, you had God, what was it? Was it Oshinoko that had
Oshinoko had
that
suicide plot?
That was a whole thing.
I immediately thought of and this was 10 years ago. Penguin Drum also referenced the 1995 attacks. It was an important, very specifically the 1995 attacks were part of the plot of the show.
It was an extremely noted cultural event, right?
Yeah. But still, that's wild because it's not just
insane.
that they just referenced it, but the way they got to that point is crazy. I mean,
I guess this is just like,
wild.
I mean, I don't know, man. Like, does this go all the way back to like freaking like, you know, Osamu Tezuka's story about Adolf Hitler? Like, have they always just been taking these hugely ambitious, shall we say, swings at?
Maybe. I don't know. That's crazy.
Yeah. So I think I remember saying last time that this was one of the darker, creepier, more morbid storylines within the overall franchise. If you've been watching the anime, and I stand by that statement more than ever now. I will say that.
It's right. Like in my head, having not watched any Black Butler or read any Black Butler, my idea of that show is there are butlers and there are vampires, and they are and they're sexy.
They are not vampires. They're not vampires.
Are they not vampires?
They are
I'm
demons.
So sorry.
There is only one of them. Well, there are more than one, but there's one main one.
That's right. It. See, the sarin gas does not factor into this in any way.
No, and there are Shinigami, and that's kind of the two main supernatural forces that do exist in the universe. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I mean, you said I think you said you prefer the darker type of arcs.
I do because I do. It just suits the nature of the show, I think, have that, and I just didn't like the previous arc very much, which was just very nah.
I mean, they do try. It seems like they try to go for like a kind of creepy horror aesthetic a little bit.
Yeah, and
right?
it is, and it has, to be fair, it always has been that level of creepiness. Like the whole idea behind why the two main characters are together, like a butler and his master, is because the boy was tortured as kidnapped and tortured as a child, and by a bunch of cults, like crazy ass people who accidentally summoned him, basically, and so the main character formed a contract that when he dies, the demon will eat his soul. This story has a lot of like just a background torture and mutilation involved, like inherently baked into this entire premise. This story arc is no different, because the girl that they meet, who becomes kind of the main ally, the Emerald Witch descendant, she cannot walk because a long time ago, the Emerald Witch of old had her legs chopped off, and so now everyone who takes the role has their feet mutilated so that they cannot walk from childhood. Like that's the kind of storytelling we've been going with from the start of this arc. So
fun times.
Oh yeah.
Okay. But you are enjoying it though, right? At least keep watching it.
I am enjoying it. I audibly kind of gasped, laughed, said "oh no" when the whole siren thing happened, because it just kind of came out of nowhere for me.
Yeah.
I guess if you're a manga reader, but I haven't read the manga, so I'm just watching it as.
Is the manga still going?
Yes, it is.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Wow. It's a long manga.
It's been, what, 20 years?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Wow. All right. Well, I don't have a good transition out of sarin gas, but
I don't think there's a good transition to be made.
Apocalypse.
Speaking of black humor, I guess here, Apocalypse Hotel.
Great. This show
I
is good, I think.
I liked episode 5. It was fine. It was just kind of another episode of Apocalypse Hotel. That's where they did they ran out of
whiskey,
alcohol, right? So they had started making their own whiskey, and since time is not really a factor in the show.
It's fun because making actual whiskey takes literally decades.
Right. They can wait 20 years for their first batch of whiskey or whatever, and it's fine. And so it's kind of been like a lot of Apocalypse Hotel. I'm like, oh yeah, this episode's fine for me personally. Like it's good, but like it's another episode of Apocalypse Hotel. But I loved episode 6.
Oh yeah, I mean I think 6.
We can talk. Yeah, we can. Go ahead.
The thing I will say about 5 that I think does kind of work, right? Well, we get to see that there are other alien guests, so there is a bit of a passage of time, right? We understand that like the hotel continues to operate, serving its non-human clientele.
Yeah,
but also like there's the like idea, right, of like, they're all like, oh well, it has to be whiskey because that was the owner's like favorite drink, right? And this kind of element of like, again, nothing revolutionary, right? It's more like reinforcing the themes of the show that like, with time comes the like the pioneering of new paths, right? That like we can't recreate things exactly as they were in the past. The best we can do is move forward, and of course they do so in the like almost absurdly comical like goal of like distilling the perfect whiskey over what appears to be like. Yeah. Like, how long does it take to distill whiskey? Like decades?
Right? You can distill that shit very fast. The problem is like if you want good whiskey, it has to sit in a barrel for 20 years. Like
So
I think at least I would say 40 to 60 years pass in this episode. Probably.
I feel like that's we do get the invocation of the old Arakawa quote. We do get Vavoom mode. Yashio, which is
that's silly,
pretty good
bit,
yeah.
But But yes,
if your robot drinks whiskey,
oh yes,
her boob grow big.
Yes.
It sounds dumb, but it's quite funny. Yeah, but episode 6 was definitely my favorite episode of the show.
That was great.
That's the one.
I think is it the greatest or worst love story of all time? both of them being complimentary.
Yes.
Yeah, we get. So I feel like this episode just played to the show's strengths for me so much because one, it's a pretty it's black humor, right? Because like we get the entity of the week that shows up this week is this Digimon ass cat monster thing.
What a Digimon
that has arrived to destroy all civilization on Earth. But hey, surprise, civilization's already been destroyed.
Right.
Joke's on you, buddy. So he has to hang out at the hotel, right? And that's such a perfect premise, I feel like, for the show.
I think, like, as you say, this is definitely Apocalypse Hotel at its best, where it is sort of like effortlessly dual wielding, like the comedy, like the laugh out loud, legitimately
the absurdity,
solid, like absurd comedy, with the like softer pathos of these characters, right? Finding meaning in the work we do, right?
Yeah.
Like learning to live in spite of it all, right?
Right. And and it's so hilarious to me that this is done through the point of view of a guy who's basically Thanos, right? Like
like what if Thanos
except he's a cat with boxing gloves,
except he's a cat with boxing gloves, but he's basically Thanos, right? He's like, civilization has advanced too far, I must destroy it, right?
Right, a little green hat,
little frog hat,
little frog hat, yeah, very good. Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's really well done, right? Again, it's like it's all patently absurd, right? Like it is the type of show where you will post a screen cap of like the dumbest looking thing in the world, and everybody will be like, that's the real shit for real, right? Real ones will know, like real ones will be shedding tears at this screenshot of this like ridiculous cat like holding a glass of water.
Smashing it against his head.
Oh
god, and then like the dudes that showed up to kill him,
right?
Yes, the fake Avengers
appears, or fake Avengers,
looked like a bunch of JoJo stands or something showed up to kill him.
Very good. I love it when a comedy, like, because comedies don't have to be that like visually intense. Like, it means that comedies, ironically, sometimes get to save all their resources, like, when they want to do their one comedy action sequence.
That was a very well-animated fight.
Yeah. It's like, fuck it, we're not an action show, so, we could just do one action scene really over the top.
It was it's so, like, almost no consequence to the plot whatsoever. It was a very well-animated fight.
Good. Yes.
And it's like it built so well on everything that we've done up to now, to where when you finally do get to the end and he shoots the hole in the hot spring, it's like I was ready to shed a tear. Like it's
it's very good. Yeah.
It just everything was just clicking on all cylinders with this episode. The show's always has good comedic timing and knows when to like push the gas and then when to slow things down, and just such a good episode all around. I say this a lot, and specifically with this show, it's like when I can't really explain it well on the podcast, that means the anime did its job, because like you have to experience it, right? Like you have to have the whole package, the whole experience, the visual, audio, everything, to really get the feeling of it. But yeah, I really loved the episode. But yeah, I mean, it'll be it's like I don't know how they're gonna top that one. That's my only concern. Like, what are we gonna just go back to, like making whiskey again next week or something? And
I actually do suspect that, yes. I mean, this is kind of the thing with like it's the what the fuck is that name of that character? The one episode of Osomatsu with the bucktooth guy basically lives out like storyline from Yakuza 0.
Right.
Oh yeah, the City Lights storyline, right?
Yeah, yes. It's like I think it's
or the Jushimatsu falls in love episode or something.
Yeah,
like that.
I think it's like almost would not expect or need this show to operate at this wavelength every episode. Like in a lot of ways, this feels special because of where and when it's airing.
Yeah,
right. Like,
I don't mean I would want every episode to be like this. It just with Osumatsu, like I loved every episode for other reasons. With this show, it's like I like it, but like it's not. It doesn't get me as excited or invested.
I think with a show like this, the thing I'm definitely curious about is kind of where the emotional arc of this show ends, right? Because they almost fake you out with it this episode. I mean, you know, in your heart of hearts, they're not actually leaving the plot, but you know, when the Tanuki, we've stayed for 400 years, it's time for us to go, and then it's just like, they just moved in next door, you know, like they just, you know, it's. But I do think eventually, will the story actually get into the like. Even immortals must say goodbye eventually, right? Like, are we going to get to that like element eventually here of like, you know, 1,000 years later, 10,000 years later? You know, are we going to pull a Nier Automata 100,000 years later?
Right. All the robot buddies are gone except Yachio. You know, that
right?
Kind of
you know,
only Flycatcher Robot lives.
Yes, only Flycatcher Robot can hold it down. But yeah, in all seriousness, right? It's like I do think it's like they are setting us up for a like, you know, as Freddie Mercury put it, who wants to live forever kind of potential here. So I do think I do think Apocalypse Hotel still has some tricks left in store, but it would not surprise me if after like a banger like this, maybe we coast on a couple more and the Tanuki were comically shitty this week. Episodes, but I'm curious, you know, because it's like, do we ever just pull the trigger on the reveal that the humans have been dead all along? You know,
I mean, we've already seen a bunch of dead humans.
Right.
Like,
I mean, yeah.
But I mean, no. We know that. I mean,
making Yachio understand that. Yes. I think there's a high likelihood that will happen at some point
eventually. Yeah.
But we'll see. It's a good show though.
I really laughed at the end of that episode where they're just like, "You fucking pussy kangaroo."
Oh man, yeah, Ponko just calling out. Yes, not the translation I was expecting. You know, just very, very good.
You know, shouts to the translators on that show. One of the few shows that like will just put in the credits, here's who translated and typeset this episode, which I appreciate. They're doing a great job.
I have noticed that on a couple shows now that they're starting to do that, which is good.
People are, you know, hey, you know, start unionizing.
Well, yeah. All right.
Great show.
Well, speaking of good localization,
tell me more.
I didn't get a chance to talk about Rock as a Lady's Modesty last time, but I wanted to catch up with it because the show has been better than I expected.
Okay.
You know, so, you know, as you might suspect, the overall mood of the show is very much a kind of dirtbag comedy type of thing, which that I expected. You know, these girls are not really good people at all. And it is different than other band shows where if we were watching, you know, Bocchi the Rock or Girls Band Cry, all the characters are like, you know, depressed or suffering from anxiety or have no self-confidence or something.
I'm sure none of us can relate.
These girls are on the opposite end of the mentally unwell spectrum, where perhaps they might have too much self-confidence. And they start to borderline into the evil woman category.
All right.
You know, I've always used the shorthand of they remind me a lot of the two main girls in Kakagurui, down to their appearances that are similar. So that is my shorthand of explaining them. But what has surprised me is the actual storytelling's pretty decent.
Okay,
like there is. So the main plot is that the blonde twin tail girl is, you know, trying to do her best to act like a lady because her mom married into, you know, this rich, powerful family, and she doesn't want them to get kicked out. So she's doing her best to be like the perfect young lady or whatever. And it turns we see later on her mom is also like kind of the evil one and is obsessed with this concept more than she is. But
Okay.
as a result, she has to repress her true feelings of wanting to, as represented by playing rock music. But broadly speaking, it's about being yourself. And they kind of managed to carry this over like all the characters in a surprisingly solid way. Like I was like, oh, I'm actually like entertained by like the story and not just like the antics,
the gimmick.
I was kind of surprised because like there's been 4 episodes and I'm not going to recap them all, but just to explain how these are supporting what I'm saying, the first block of episodes, they kind of went in a surprising direction where rather than recruiting their next band members, they take a gig joining a let's say around 20 people symphonic band.
Okay.
To perform at this like concert or something. That's like a competition, and they needed a couple of people, and the group is all a bunch of people like in their 40s, and they're all just kind of like, oh yeah, we're just doing this for fun or whatever. They're all pretty chill, and the girls are annoyed because they want to play fast rock music and everything, but they're like, well, we'll play along for now. And they're even like, oh man, we're playing this music so slow, and the conductors, and then everyone's like, oh, we're playing so fast, it's too fast, I can't play the parts right. And they're like, oh, let's do it slower, and right. And then this like asshole guy comes in who's also in the competition, and he's like a modestly famous local singer or something. And he's like, ah, yeah, nobody's gonna care about your instrumental music. You gotta, they all love my, singing and all that stuff. And the girls are like, nah, we're not taking this disrespect. So like,
unleash our true form.
Yeah. So they end up playing like super fast, and even though everybody can't keep up, they make some mistakes or whatever, the crowd loves it because of the energy and everything. And it's just like, the older people are reminded that
music is about self-expression,
right? And yeah, it doesn't matter if you're playing it perfect or whatever. I'm like, okay, that was not an arc I expected. And they also just like end up cursing out the singer guy at the end, which was entertaining.
Yeah, right.
I think I sent you guys the screen caps from that,
yes.
They were saying all kinds of vile things to him afterwards, but it was very entertaining. But then they get back to recruiting the rest of the band members, and it's funny because like the main girl's trying to keep her rock music playing a secret because she's supposed to be a perfect young lady, and not be playing rock music, but for some reason she stopped playing at a local festival. was somehow not going to get her secret out, and this causes a lot of problems because a lot of people saw like them play. So like one was her stepsister, her younger stepsister, who was ready to rat her out, but after seeing the performance, she was so moved that she is now,
of course, she's all Onesama.
But they introduced the 2 new band members. So one is like they get back to playing on the the classic shoujo Ojo-sama tropes of this one being the prince, who's the girl who is like 10% more masculine looking than the other girls, and therefore everyone is in love with them. And and the joke is that she seems like this perfect prince who's like a model and all this stuff, and then when you get her in person, she has like no self-confidence or anything, to the point where she has a little stuffed like cat or something that she talks to and then makes it talk for her.
Okay, all right.
And she is the only genuinely nice person in the band, but the problem is she wants to join, and she can play piano a little bit, but she is unlike the other ones, she is a total amateur, whereas the other girls are very good at their instruments. And then they bring in the other band member to set up the conflict, who is somebody that the drummer girl knew, and she is like obsessed with technical perfection and doesn't care about anything else, and she's just like a total asshole. And she is actually a way better musician than any of them as well, and they're trying to reconcile like the two of them being in the band together, because but all of them are like looking for some way to actually like be themselves, right? And without getting into everybody's individual plot lines, I mean, but it's bringing them together as a rock band to where they have that form of self-expression. And while that sounds simple when I explain it, like it's still more plot than I was expecting, and the fact that they actually I think they do a pretty solid job of executing it has been surprising.
They're actually doing something with
and
it,
satisfying, right? So it's not just like the silly antics of there's actually a plot and a theme, and they're supporting it, which has been cool. So definitely a surprise to me on that, and I've been enjoying it quite a bit. I will say the one funny thing from the music standpoint, the girl who comes in that's like the asshole that's like better than all of them. So she is also a guitar player, and there is the eternal question of very few people just play bass. Almost everybody's a guitar player, and then somebody has to be forced to play bass when you form your rock band, right?
Right.
So there's
whenever I was playing Rock Band with my brother and his friends on the PlayStation 2, I always got pushed into playing bass.
And whenever I played Rock Band, I forced everybody else to play bass. But yes. So there's a certain disrespect to being the one being forced to play bass.
Right.
So I thought they were going to argue over who was going to have to play bass, and then I realized this girl pulled out an even higher level of disrespect I hadn't thought of, which is she's like, you know what? I'm just going to play. I already know I'm better than you. I'll play bass just so I can see what you're made of. If you're capable of playing good enough. I already know I'm better than you, but I'm just gonna. I'll just play bass over here for now so you can show me what you got. Basically,
this is
wow.
This is playing casuals, and your opponent is like, you know what? I haven't played this character before. Let me just try it out in pools.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I've never played this before. Right?
Go, shit. Yeah.
You don't deserve my Ken or Akuma. I'm gonna try out a Lily and see how far I can get here.
Yeah. And so she whips out her she has a black SG bass that she whips out, and
all right.
Yeah, it's pretty good, but I'm enjoying it more than I expected. So.
Mm-hmm. A question has occurred to me that is only tangentially related to this show, which is what is the line between evil woman and villainess?
It's a vibe.
Yeah, I think it's a vibe thing. Yeah,
all right, okay.
I would say
yeah.
I would say. Would you say all villainesses are evil women, but not all evil women are villainesses?
I don't know if I would.
I don't know if I would actually.
There are in fact exceptions. Like I don't think all villainesses really qualify
as
evil women.
Right. I feel like the trope with villainesses so often is like they did nothing wrong at all.
They were being
unfairly maligned.
Well, okay. Oh, okay. Hang on. We got to be careful with how we say that with our evil women.
Because I'm saying that is often the case with villainesses.
But the concept of a villainess has been poisoned by quote unquote poisoned by the kind of trope now of the I've been reincarnated as the villainess and I'm actually a good person type of thing, right?
Yes.
I mean that's a thing, right? Like in some ways,
so then most of them are not evil women.
Like I would even go as far as to say I think villainesses are an industry plant.
Mm-hmm.
They're not real. Their heat is not real. It's manufactured. Like they did not do time. They did not do time on the circuit, the real evil woman circuit. Like they were gifted the title of villainess without really having to work for it. Like
now you're getting at what I think I was getting at.
Yes,
in my mind.
Yeah.
Like
the villain is a false claim fundamentally.
Yeah. No, totally.
Yeah.
Like I think like if like very few evil women call themselves evil women because it's self-evident through their actions. Their actions speak louder than their words. You know?
Yeah.
Whereas a villainess insists upon itself.
It's a very important topic that we must discuss here. But yes,
one day we keep threatening that Jell and I will like convene to do the evil woman tier list podcast.
That'll end up being our highest viewed thing on YouTube someday. Yes. All right. Well, yeah. It is somewhat, that conversation is adjacent to the show because they are like in the Ojo-sama school where they're like that type of character, but yeah, they're evil because of their music and
I thought you were going to say they're evil because they're rich.
Like
they're like the way they don't care about anything other than their music basically is where the evil kicks in. But yeah, anyway, that show's pretty good.
You know what show's not very good?
I still got Guilty Gear on here, guys. What's
Who boy? Wow. So, the show has dipped down into the Blaze Blue anime levels.
Okay, hold on. So Aaron, I caught the latest PowerPoint presentation of Guilty Gear Strive Dual Rulers.
Oh no,
the keynote. Yeah,
we made the 3:30 all hands, and watched the presentation.
Man alive.
It is rough.
Wow.
There is really no way around it. We keep talking every week about, wow, this Guilty Gear Strive anime looks pretty bad. And, you know, there was a bit of a, like, look, you can't look as good as Strive. Like, Strive is, like, probably still the best looking fighting game on the market. Yeah. Like, Arxis wielded great and terrible magics to create Guilty Gear Strive. But I would have liked something, like, in maybe approximately the same frame rate as Guilty Gear Strive.
Something that moves.
Yeah.
Boy, we have there's a big old action scene because the villain has revealed himself. He summoned his army of villain, mooks to come in, and we need to hold off the army of the horrible slime guys who look like shit.
Like your classic, like, crossover slop concept for, like, how you get everybody to get their one moment to, like, fight. Because, like, it's a classic thing of, like, they were fighting a singular villain, and it's like, well,
I'll split myself
into 1,000 versions of me so that everybody has somebody to fight, in the finale. And it's like, okay, sure. Iro and I are like, well, like if we have this excuse of like, oh no, there's thousands of the clones of the villain descending on Earth, maybe we'll get like a half a scene cameo of Chip Z'Nuff doing a gamma blade on this demon.
Where is Potemkin?
Maybe Potemkin will do one. You know what? I'm already lowering my standards. I don't even need to see an HPV anymore. No. If you could do like one Garuda
impact,
I'm not even like, Arxis, you won. I don't even want to see a pop buster anymore. Just show me something. He could even do his stupid freaking what's the move called where he like? No, the one where he like hits the ground, where he like falls over.
Right? Yeah. Oh my god.
Like
just do his forward C, like where he punches with two fists. Like it's okay.
Yeah, exactly. Hammer fistle.
Anyway, yeah.
The point is, we're like, our standards are so fucking subterranean at this point. We're like, all right, well, sure. Like, we'll watch the like, haha, look, it's your favorite characters doing their thing, and it can't even hit that bar. Like, it can't even do it. Like. The bad guy is in a big orb in the sky, and the orb in the sky is guarded by a big barrier, and so they need to power up a big cannon to shoot the barrier so that our heroes can ride Johnny's pirate ship to fight the big bad in the sky. And we're using Johnny the Sky Pirate, his airship, to take the fight. Oh, maybe May will be there. Maybe the Jellyfish Pirates will like make a cameo. No, they don't.
Who are they? Who's that?
Who? May who? You tell me that was Bridget's wife? No, who? No, Bridget's single. No, Bridget's dating Utica now. shout out my condolences to the May Bridget shippers. This anime has been your 9/11. It's rough. It's rough in these streets.
Unica's spur to action by Bridget getting impaled. Right? Like...
Yes. Don't worry, she'll be fine because she appears in the video game. And so it's like, okay, so we launch our desperate Daiguren assault on the bad guy, and you go, okay, well, like, the heroes that are here will get their anime OP fighting the sky montage, right? Everybody does their special move, and what if 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
How are you counting the keyframes? 7,
8, 9, 10.
Fucking hell.
Okay, so what if in a 30-second sequence there were 10 stationary frames portraying the sequence?
Oh, it's so rough.
It's so rough.
Because it's worse because it's like, look, you can do a panning still over I go, it shows a panning still, but then I roll my eyes and move on. And then you can do stills in a way where my brain goes, oh, these are keyframes, and you did not have the resources to animate in between them.
Wait, isn't it 3D?
Yes.
They are using the models from the game.
Look, I'm not saying 3D makes it so you can magically push a button and animate everything.
No, definitely not. But
you should at least be able to move it in.
It's rough.
It's so weird.
Right. It's right. And like later on, and everyone does this to give fucking no frames of everyone like slashing shit up, and it's like later in the episode, you have your one shot of where everybody is doing their move all in like a one take, and they animated it there, and it's just so blatantly obvious that like we had no resources, and so we decided that this is the one we need to animate, and then for the 5 minutes beforehand, nothing.
like to Jel's point, like, to be clear, like when it comes to 3D animation, it is not that necessarily the work has already been done,
right?
But like, if you're able to like rig and like render these keyframes, like, you still have to do work on the in-between frames, even in 3D, because like oftentimes the way like the 3D rig will interpret like an arm, like, oh, the arm is in this position in keyframe 1 and in this position in keyframe 8.
Just let the IK deal with all of it, you know?
But I do actually think they maybe should have just let it rock, because like as it is, it's like way worse. Like it's so
insane to see a keyframe, like a still keyframe that is in the middle of somebody doing something and not them actually doing anything.
Right, like, to be clear, it's like we have like highlighted animators who have a very keyframe approach to animation. Right?
Absolutely.
Maishi is probably the most iconic of them, right? And Maishi, often the way he animates is like characters are basically like zigzagging from pose to pose, right? But like, because he is good at it and he understands like the limitations of that style, he leans into it as a stylistic choice. The people working Sans again, I believe, do not have those chops, and
it's funny because it's not like they haven't done good stuff before, with like Bubuki Baranki.
Bubuki Baranki. What else? What else is
D-Side Trauma Ray?
That's not a good example. Maybe we don't mention D-Side Trauma Ray, an anime that we keep name dropping, despite the fact that we all agreed we would never speak of D-Side Trauma Ray ever again. Comes up with disturbing frequency on this podcast.
It's just bad.
Yeah, it's just bad.
Rough.
It's just bad. And like, if this was meant to like get you excited for Unica, you know, the character that is going to be released as the next DLC character for Strive, this has been a disastrous way to introduce this character.
I would be fascinated to hear potentially read or the tell all, like, what the fuck happened.
The post-mortem on what happened to this anime, because like because like, again, it's like did you just choose not to render the frames.
There has to be some issue on the production side, I think.
Right, like something.
Surely there must be, because otherwise, what are we doing?
It wasn't a style choice, right?
No.
Okay.
Like, this is... Like, you can tell when it's a style choice because they have, like, hand-drawn still frames for, like, sequences in the anime, where it's like, oh, we actually could not have the time to animate this sequence, so it is going to be an illustrated still frame of something going on, like, in the story. But this was more like, oh, that's just a still of a frame. Like you just, like...
Right. It's not a postcard memory. It's just we did not have time to do in between these two frames.
You rendered 1 out of 30 frames. It's
all right,
and like I'm at the point where it's like I actually think, like, because Sanzigen also, to be clear, what's also frustrating is Sanzigen has actually done Guilty Gear before and done it well.
They did that music
Sanzigen
video.
is the studio that animated that really cool Soul Bad Guy music video they did for like one of the Evo like grand finals, and like that thing fucking rips. I still rewatch it every now and then.
They do a lot of CG cutscenes for video games, like
right, and so like. These guys can do good work. Like, I'm almost at the point where it's like, I think if you really want to like make a Guilty Gear anime, you almost would have been better off just releasing 8 like 5-minute AMVs.
Just do some shit to their themes from the game.
Yeah, like just take a theme from the Guilty Gear Strive soundtrack and just put it behind like some cool action, you know?
Yes, give me fucking chips enough. Fight like a tiger, walk in the park, play the hero till I die.
Yeah, you know, like as he's like struggling with his heroin addiction.
Yeah.
Is that true? Is that well? Hang on. No.
Did you not know that?
No, I don't know a goddamn thing about Chips enough. Has a heroin addiction.
I think
used to.
Is that real?
He's been clean. He's been. You know, honestly, truly, my congratulations to Chip. He's been sober for like 15 years now. Like, honestly,
good for him. Good for him.
Shout outs to him. But no, like his whole thing is like, yes, he was a crackhead in like Guilty Gear 1.
I can't tell if you're lying to me.
I'm gonna assume that's true.
I can't. Look, I didn't know Axel Lowe was a time jumper. Whatever the fuck it says.
Why do you think one of my hobbies is learning Guilty Gear lore? So I can have moments like this.
We cannot get into Guilty Gear lore.
We cannot get into this.
I do have one point I want to get to before we move on. We had a comment on YouTube. Conspiracy theory that shout out to the Anime Book Club here, who has commented on our videos before, but they're saying the reason why they think the conspiracy theory here is that Lucy from Edge Runners is in Strive as DLC because originally Trigger was supposed to do the anime, and I don't know if there's evidence to support that.
So first of all, okay, thank you, listener, for commenting. I appreciate you very much. A1's not doing Guilty Gear Dual Rulers at Sanzigen.
Is anyone associated in any way at all? Like on production side, maybe?
I don't know. Maybe. But Sanzigen and Trigger are part of the same holding company.
Yes, that is a thing. Yes.
Right. Okay. So maybe you're kind of onto something. But also, I don't know.
Well, it would make sense too, because they would probably want to do it especially if they're going to do it 3D. And
sure, right. I mean, Sanzigen did all the 3D in Premiere, for instance. They are. I'm not going to say connected at the hip, but they're connected.
Yes. I could see it, like, for sure. Like, I think Trigger, like, I mean, this is the problem, right? It's like
you get the energy, right?
It's a little bit of the, like, back in the day when everybody was just was like hire platinum to make your game, right? It's like, yes, we all know that, like, this studio has, like, particular talents, right? I think Trigger could have been a cool fit for a Guilty Gear anime. I haven't heard any rumor about this at all. Like, Trigger has always actually been fairly transparent, like, because, you know, they are a regular attendee of Anime Expo. So actually, Trigger's like usually pretty upfront about what they're working on at any given time. Like, we know that, you know, like the next 2 years of Trigger's output, like the only thing we don't know about them is like what Akira Amamiya is doing next.
Right.
But I could. Here's the thing, right? Like, the thing about in the industry is, like, people are always talking. Like, if you told me Trigger took a meeting with ArcSys to, like, discuss a Guilty Gear anime, I would 100% believe it, right? Like,
And like the energy, right, occasionally dips into that. Like, Axel shows up to fight 3 dudes, and then he says, "Wasn't that cool? Ah, I'm running away. Oh no!" and disappears. It's like, it's funny.
Yes,
but
yeah.
I
mean, if with the Trigger Sanzigen relationship and everything, I mean, maybe they're all just talking together anyway, right?
Yeah,
but
right, definitely.
Okay. Well, I think we can move on, and things are not going to get that much better, I don't think. But
no.
let's talk about Lazarus.
Okay.
Before while you guys think about that for a second, I was amused by Anime News Network does their periodic like poll of best show of the season, like every week. I think they do. Like,
right.
And it's open poll, so it's usually a popularity contest. I was amused that Lazarus and Euroforma were at the bottom of their.
Ouch.
So if they were targeting the Western audience, it has failed.
Well, not necessarily, because apparently it's doing very well on Max when it's streaming.
I believe you mean HBO.
I'm sorry.
That shit. Oh my god! I'm so sorry.
Okay, at least
podcast.
Yeah, so maybe it's maybe it's hitting with the casuals out there.
Whoa.
But
don't need to say it so derisively, Jill. That's my job.
Look for this show, I will. Watch another anime. But anyway, I take it Lazarus has not gotten any better.
No, so remember last time I was on like a month ago and I like gave a bunch of like, well, have you approached it from this angle? I take all of them back. Like
you're no longer the voice of the no more devil's advocate on this one.
I'm sure all those things were valid and everything, but like I don't understand how even with those things it can be this bad. Like, how did this happen? I'm baffled. I'm genuinely baffled, like, as to how this has happened.
It's absurd how fucking terrible this show's become.
This is like, I mean, I am like, I think I said this to Arrow when we were watching this, but these episodes are like, they're doing like the worst thing possible, which is they are making me retroactively doubt Watanabe's credentials.
Yes, thank you.
Like, I'm like,
maybe it was the maybe it was the screenwriter all along. No,
it was not Daisato.
It was Daisato.
No, it wasn't. People. I refuse to entertain the idea that Daisato. Yeah,
but like, it's what I mean is that like, it's like these things are like these last 2 episodes don't even have like Watanabe's strengths in them anymore. Like, I think there was once upon a time you could watch Lazarus and go, well, I can see what Watanabe himself, the man, the director, is doing here. And I can see what he is trying to accomplish, but maybe he's being hamstrung by his budget, his writer, the scope, Adult Swim. These latest episodes, I'm like, I can't even see, like, there is no silver lining. There is no light in the darkness here. This is just straight up bad.
Yeah.
I thought it was an Adult Swim issue as well, because Adult Swim has kind of become the death knell of like anime that you were really looking forward to coming and then ended up shit.
Yeah.
But according like I've read a lot of interviews like by Watanabe himself, so not like some sort of third party random people speculation, like and at least according to him, while Adult Swim ordered the show, they didn't really say like it should be about this and these should be the plot. Like it wasn't like some kind of like, I don't think they gave him directions, you know what I mean, as to what they wanted. All I read was that he said, "Oh, so you want something else like Space Dandy?" And they were like, "Probably more serious." And he was like, "Okay."
Yeah, I heard about this one too.
And that was like the extent of it.
Jason DeMarco, you motherfucker.
So I'm just again, I am confused. Like, how this came to be. And it's not that there aren't good moments very occasionally. Like in the most recent episode that I watched this morning, so it's still very fresh in my memory, they all go to different islands, right?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I need to...
Okay, let me have the one thing that I enjoyed about the episode. The sole thing that I enjoyed about the episode is that there is like a kind of almost montagey thing where they're all looking up at the sky or the ocean around them, and they're not talking.
Yes, it's exactly what I was going to... No, it's exactly what I'm going to say, Artemis. Exactly what I'm going to say. The best part of this show is when everyone shuts the fuck up and lets the vibes talk for a bit.
Exactly, and then dialogue, and I'm just like, oh, you ruined everything.
Exactly.
This is what we were talking about when we said, like, it feels very, like, Netflix coded.
Right. Second screen dialogue.
Yeah,
right.
Because, like, you have this great sequence, right? This beautiful, quiet sequence where, like, you get to see through this wordless montage, like, the consequences of humans' actions upon the earth, right? That these familiar cities are all underwater, flooded by mankind's, human-induced climate change, right? And there's a melancholy to it, right? It reminds you of, like, those scenes in Cowboy Bebop where, like, New York City is sunken beneath the ocean as Spike and Jet try to find a Betamax player. It's... And you instantly understand if you're watching what is being communicated here.
Yes.
And you don't. There's no need for anything. Like like unless you are literally a child, unless you are like 10 or under, like what the message is. It's not so subtle as to need.
And I think that this is the upsetting thing, Artemis, is that alternatively, if you're not even watching at all.
Not even Netflix would be this fucking incompetent. I'm sorry. It's just so bad.
Like them all then immediately after this beautiful sequence going, wow, look at the world because of climate change. The ocean is so blue.
It's almost as though maybe Dr. Skinner was right all along.
And it's like oh my god, bro.
Maybe he isn't so bad. Like they don't exactly say that, but that's the gist. And it's just absurd. So awful.
It's
bad. We have to talk about the previous episode as well. Like,
yes, we do.
It is it's a masterclass disaster piece. On its face, it's another we have a lead on finding Dr. Skinner. Oh, it's that there's this fucking cult, just some fucking Jonestown shit, right? Except they worship an AI. So it's like, oh boy, we're getting real topical here, huh? They worship this AI that is apparently modeled after Dr. Skinner's brain patterns.
They don't know. They don't know that, right?
Not yet. But AI. They have to go there, and you go, okay, so we got to infiltrate a cult, and just conveniently, oh my god, what's her name?
Hacker Girl.
Yeah. Hacker Girl.
I'm sure she has a name.
What is her name? Jesus Christ, she has no character.
Let's see.
Hacker Girl. Yes, she is Elena. She's I came from that cult. I escaped from it. And it's word? Right. Okay. Wow, that's crazy that, you escaped from this cult and become a super hacker kid. And, are we going to get an explanation of, what drove you to escape this cult? How you developed your hacker skills in a, cult commune? That,
Well, you see, it's an AI cult, so,
and it just feels like
forget that there's no computers.
It's such a clumsy attempt to be everybody has gotten not even really, but everybody has gotten an episode where they're kind of the focus. So now it's Elena's turn, but it has no actual real connection. You compare this to and again, I hate that I keep doing this, right? But it's you look at a Cowboy Bebop or a Samurai Champloo, and it's when they would have these episodes where ghosts of these characters' past would come to haunt them. It felt dangerous and significant and important, right? Spike's entire past is defined by him running away from it and the ways in which it finally catches up to him and he is forced to confront it. And here, it just feels so tossed off that it's oh yeah, but she's a part of this cult, And,
we just needed a plot. We just needed the plot device to get us to the
Yep. Right. And they don't do anything with it. They don't get into any of the mechanics of how did she break her cult deprogramming? Why? What drove her to run away? nothing, you know? And so it just becomes some Jonestown shit. It's just Kool-Aid, right? They get caught, you know, they get almost burnt at the
we're all gonna burn ourselves alive or something.
Like they get saved because like the one old friend Elena had was able to see through the delusion at the last second, and it's like, what? And then the episode literally ends. Well, and that's the thing. The show even acknowledges it, because I think Tinder literally says it was a dead end. We didn't get anything from it. We're back to square one. 17 days remain, and it's like,
fucking waste of time.
I don't know how you guys have watched this far.
I
mean, it's become the
I mean, now that I get it now, I get it now. Like now you're committed, right? But like that hurt my soul. Yeah,
like it doesn't even say anything interesting about cults, because like, you know, it's very clearly like operating on the, like, to be clear, this episode is very focused on the American ideal is like visualization of cults.
It's just like all of the cultural like concept of what a cult commune in the woods is, and it does not actually fucking examine any of it in any way.
So it doesn't do anything to explore. I'm going to laugh when I say this. The themes of the show, or advance the plot in any way. It does absolutely nothing. A waste of everyone's time.
Yeah,
pretty much. And it's just the dialogue is just the insult to the injury of that, because they're just
explaining what's going on. Yeah,
shit. Yeah, like it's frustrating.
It sucks.
Is this the opposite problem of what we're saying with GQuuuuuX, where now you have too much?
No,
now you're just randomly doing stuff, like instead of having the super tight storytelling. I don't know.
I don't know.
It's not that the storytelling in this is too, like, it's not a pacing issue. It's just that the writing sucks.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, it's a fundamental issue with the storytelling. Right. Like, it doesn't matter how fast or slow it goes. The issue is still going to be there.
Yeah.
I mean, the show is at its best, and I do use that word loosely, when it's just kind of more actiony, you know, because at least it looks okay. And like, I know you guys said you weren't a fan of the music, but I think the music is fine. Like, I think the music's not bad. Like, it's not bad music. I do quite like the ending theme, I guess. Like if I just kind of deassociate it with the anime, you know what I mean? Like, I'd be like, oh yeah. It's a good song, kind of thing.
Right. I think like I could forgive this show, like, if the plot was bad but the action was good and the character dynamics held up. I think I could find more to forgive about this show. But I think it's just that, like, it fails when it tries to tackle the heady things, and it also fails even when it's trying to have fun. Like, there's that sequence in like episode 6 or 7, is it? Where like 7, where like they're like barbecuing meat or whatever, right? And like, oh, you know, we're like, you know, they're having their like little banter, right? Like, oh, how old are you? What, you're only 23? That's crazy. And we do the haha, the lady is older than she appears, and it's like it doesn't like really like tell us anything about their social dynamic. Right? It's just like, oh, we're just like it's coworker banter. Like, it's not even
and then also in the same episode, and this really stood out to me just because of how poorly reflected on the show to date. The younger guy, like the blonde kid, who's like supposed to be 16 or whatever, they're kind of all talking together, like, you know, via
what, like,
you know,
Discord?
like they're like whatever they're fucking talking on. And he's like, have you guys ever thought about like what will happen if we do find Skinner? Like, what will happen to us as a team? Don't you think it would, like, and they're like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, don't you think like it's a shame that we will be disbanded? Like, because, you know, you miss it. And I'm just like, miss what? Like, what are we supposed to be missing? Like, there's no group bond here. You haven't like, there's no real relationship between you that has been presented to the viewer. You are just a group that got shoved together. Like, you are like the you are like the first Suicide Squad movie. Like, I don't care. Like,
yeah,
it sucks because like even if you want to like do the found family thing, I mean, here's the thing. I will complain once again about like the truncated length, but here's the thing: even if this show had double the episodes, if it was written the same way, it would still be bad. But like, maybe the dynamic would be slightly more believable if you just had more time with these badly written characters hanging out. You could at least believe that there's like a dynamic here, that there's camaraderie. But like even this episode like illustrates what you were getting at, where it's like they're not even talking to each other in person, right? Because the plot necessitates them all splitting up. So like the amount of times this team has actually like worked together as a team, you can like count on one hand. It's a really strange choice. I don't know what, like, if it had to be a globe-trotting adventure, I don't know why you wouldn't just like gin up an excuse for them all to like at least stick together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think also, by the way, that it's an issue with timing. I believe like you Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo were the two core shows, right?
Yes.
But Watanabe has done like one core shows before, and I know that, for example, Terror and Resonance is fairly divisive, but I think like there was not an issue with the pacing.
No, there was a dynamic there with the characters.
I know that he can fit a fully realized story into 11 to 12 episodes or whatever.
Definitely.
So I'm just, again, I'm missing something. Like, I have to be missing something. Like,
yeah.
Right.
I cannot fathom how.
Yeah, it's wild. It is stunning how bad Lazarus is.
It is.
Well, on that note, then we'll have one or two more chances to dunk on that before the end of the season here. But let's move on to our final show, and let's talk about Kowloon Generic Romance.
Well, speaking of a show that has taken some swings, man.
Yeah, so a lot going on. I would broadly say they are unraveling the mystery a lot in these two episodes. A lot of
on the bright side, at least it feels like we our early concerns about Hebi Numa creating a contrived love triangle that has been hard confirmed not happening.
Yes,
about as hard confirmed as it could that that's not the direction this plot is going. So thank God.
I think at one point Heavy Numa might have looked at the screen and said, "I am not attracted to women." At some point, so
yeah, it's very... oh man, yeah, this show's getting a lot more into the like sci-fi conspiracy stuff than I like legitimately expected.
That's pretty much the focus of these two episodes is like the sci-fi part of it. It's interesting. We do get a lot of Dr. Heavy Numa, or Miyuki, as we're now calling him, as we've become more familiar. We get more into his background. I will note there are some, I think, gender questions here going on that he literally says himself. I'm using he, him pronouns for now because that seems to be what everybody's using. But there are questions
about that. Seems to identify as a he, him. But,
he does literally say in his personal thoughts that he's never really thought of himself as a man or a woman for various reasons. But I feel like I feel like it does make sense. If there's one big way you can kind of throw the who am I? Who is the real me question out there?
Sure,
gender is one of them that is a very big one that you could throw.
Yes, this smacks of gender, as they say.
I think it kind of makes sense as his point of view is also being brought more into the story because all of these characters are either representing kind of one side of the, like I've mentioned before, with Kudo kind of representing the past and Yao Mei representing the future for Reiko. It seems Dr. Heavy Noob is also somewhat conflicted in his identity and
yeah. I mean, the interesting thing with him is like it's almost like rather than the past or the future, like those two, Heavy Numa is almost like his pursuit seems to be more like academic, like trying to figure out like to illustrate the truth of this new Kowloon, right? I feel like these last two episodes focus pretty heavily on them trying to like figure out, again, almost like stand battle-esque. They're trying to figure out the mechanics of the new Kowloon, right? Because at first they go, well, maybe it's like you had to like have been born there or lived there, but Yao Mei sees the new Kowloon, right? She can interact with it, right? So it's like it's kind of getting this interesting thing of like what actually is this Kowloon, right? Like it's not just like a ghost from the past. It's not necessarily just an illusion, right? Like it's not like everybody there is fake necessarily, right? Because again, we see with Yao Mei, Heavy Numa, and Gwen can all kind of leave at will,
and they make it even more complicated because apparently you can have like an alternate version of yourself, but then Reiko herself is a weird other version of that. So,
right. I mean, it's almost like practically a title drop where they're like, no, Reiko, you are the Kowloon generic.
Yes. Yeah, and I think they mostly do a good job presenting all this. I'm just thinking, because maybe it's just the freshest thing in my mind, the way it accumulates by the end, how they built up to Reiko wanting to leave Kowloon, and by the time we get there, we know that she should not step outside of Kowloon, right?
Right.
Or at least we're thinking that by the time it happens, because we've built up to all the clues and everything so like when Gwen goes to stop her, you're like, yep, that makes sense. So I think it's all being presented well enough, and I think it's an interesting mystery to unravel.
Right.
I think I am missing the vibes in these episodes.
I think these two episodes, I mean, I think it's like these were necessary episodes. Like we have, like you had to eventually get into what is actually the nature of this Kowloon. But I do think like we do miss a little bit of like what we really enjoyed, which was like Reiko trying to like rediscover and like define her own personhood in this Kowloon, right? Like we do get some of it, to be clear, right? Like I do appreciate, like, I'm so glad Reiko doesn't do the like, oh no, I'm not a real person, she's just like, oh, I'm like not her. Like I was never like that Reiko. Like, okay, then
she's her, I'm me.
Then I get to define who I am, right? And I get to continue deciding, well, there are parts of that Reiko I like, and there are parts of that Reiko that I feel comfortable leaving behind. And I think that's interesting and cool, and I like that. But yeah, a lot more like, again, and here's the thing, I am the speculative fiction sicko, right? I am the one over here being like, oh, that really interesting sci-fi dystopian seinen manga is finally getting an anime adaptation. I finally get to talk about it in the podcast, right? I'm that guy, right? But like, I have to admit, there are aspects of Kowloon generic romance where it's like, well, just sold me on a sleepy, nostalgic Hong Kong romance story, and that's kind of what I signed up for, and I'm interested in like the mystery of this Kowloon, but
it's like I want both.
Yeah.
And it's like they kind of went all in one direction with these two episodes. And I agree, G, like these things needed to happen at some point, but maybe they could have broken up a little bit more or something. I don't know.
I'm just a lot
going on.
I wonder how fast this is moving compared to like the manga.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Which I feel like, does Aqua's read the manga, read some of it?
No, I don't know. I don't.
It's, as far as my broad understanding from the internet is that like the anime is paced much more quickly.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, if they're trying to reach an end. Yeah, but I mean, what's here? I mean, it's good. I mean, it's a kind of an interesting sci-fi conspiracy to unravel with, different copies of people and stuff like that. And, we get a bit of, I like to go along with what you're saying, G, I do like Reiko's attitude toward the truth as she uncovers it. And,
right.
I thought it was very, as the main kind of theme of the story continues to be her battle between the past and the future here, like how it's like she takes a 2 steps forward and 1 step back all the time, right? So it's like at the end when she's like, I'm gonna move out of the apartment, and then Kudo says one thing at the end and like, I'm staying in the apartment, right? But
it's a little
she's making progress slowly, right? And I think that it feels like it's all going somewhere to a certain extent, which is good. And it's just some decent sci-fi. I thought maybe this was some kind of instrumentality thing where it's all like everybody's in there, because it always is, right?
Simulation
and it looks
or
like
some shit. Yeah,
it always goes back.
Yeah, maybe it's not quite that. I don't know, but there's still. I feel like we know a lot more, but there's still a lot that we don't know yet. So, why can only some people see Kowloon? What is so different about Reiko? Is she like are the other copies like the actual copies of people, and then Reiko's just like the body or something? I don't know, but those are all things that remain to be seen. Artemis, did you keep watching this?
Yeah, I'm still watching.
What do you think?
It's an interesting show. I don't like it. I don't dislike it, to be clear. I don't think it's a bad show, but I'm not actively enjoying it every week. I'm watching it because it is interesting.
Okay.
But I guess I agree with the vibes thing. Like, if there was anything I did enjoy about the show, it was the vibes. And I just there's nothing really there for me. Like in terms of what makes a viewing experience actually fun to watch without them. And so I'm watching because I am curious to see what's going to happen. Where is this going? In terms of the kind of the more speculative fiction mystery aspect of the show, but it's just, I don't know, it's not something that I'm like, oh yay, another episode is here, I can watch now, kind of thing.
Yeah. I think I felt similar to that for these 2 episodes specifically, because it was a lot of just dumping stuff, and there were some.
I
things
think so
like,
too. Like in some ways, I am settling into. In some ways, actually, Kowloon is almost settling into the pattern I thought Apothecary Diaries would settle into. I'll watch this every week. Rather than something I actively look forward to, which is the case for Apothecary Diaries. Whereas with Kowloon, I think I'm definitely at that stage of like, I'll see how this plays out.
Yeah, I also don't like. I don't love the fan servicey parts, which makes it sound as though they're some huge part of the show, and they're not. Like, I don't view them as some kind of massive hindrance to my my happiness at watching it or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But this show, and it's not just this show, like a lot of other shows do it too. Women just tend to walk with their boobs first in frames. It's that kind of show where the boobs lead the person rather than anything else. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like every time I watch like anime, like even anime that I thought was like, oh, this will be fine, with like somebody who like doesn't watch a lot of anime.
Yeah, we grow numb to it to a certain degree. But
I noticed that like people who don't watch a lot of anime, they're always like, why is the camera framed like that? And I was like, what do you mean? And like, it's aimed straight at her chest. And I was like, oh, well, it's like, it's her face isn't on screen to like communicate that like.
No,
it's what I'm saying though, right? Like, what I'm saying. Like, I don't want to show your face.
I don't think, like, I'm not uncomfortable with what I'm watching. Like, I don't think the camera zooms in unnecessarily, like, and is all up in there. I just literally, when they walk with their boobs first. I don't know how better to explain
what is
it,
that? What is that tweet where it's like she walked boobily on screen?
Breasted boobily.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. Like, When I walk, that would be the most uncomfortable way to walk if I were to walk like that. Like I cannot imagine any woman who'd be like, you know what would be a comfortable walk like that. No, no one is willingly walking that way.
It is funny because like, unless it's like blatantly obvious, like in episode 1 when she was like passing out from the paint fuse.
Oh yeah. Those moments I don't care about as much.
I'm just like immune to it at this point. But hey, you know what? It's okay because they're showing a bunch of shirtless dudes kissing, so it's equal opportunity.
Weirdly enough, the way more obvious fan service stuff I don't care about because it's so obvious and because it's like, oh, it's fan service.
I think
when they're just walking, I'm like, is she wearing the stiffest bra in the goddamn universe? Like, her back must not be comfortable.
To be clear, To be clear, I was joking about the men kissing making it okay, but it is in there.
No, I guess it is probably somewhat notable that like this show has actually shown a lot more like male sexuality than female sexuality. Just because of the focus on Heavy Numa and Gwen. But I do see what you mean, right? Because like, it's one thing if it's just like, okay, you know, because there's that scene in like the latest episode where like the girls are just hanging out in their swimsuits, right? It's like we're just sunbathing. You know, girl time, right? And it's like, yeah, okay, I get it. Yeah, show the ladies in the swimsuits. We all kind of know what's being done here. But I think it's like when the scene is meant to be like more, like that's not the intended focus, and it is still drawn that way. I can see how good that could still be distracting, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well. Yeah. All right. Well,
I don't know. Heavy Numa's got his fucking tits out. I mean, you seen how low his button line is in like some of these fucking like some of the shirts he's wearing, man. Like...
Yep. They're going for everybody on this one. But
we'll call it if not equal opportunity to the viewer, then equal opportunity to the cast.
I guess he has at least become, I guess, like a bit more round, or like more interesting, somewhat more sympathetic character compared to early on, where it was like evil queer man.
Yes,
like, he is a more interesting character now. I'm still not totally buying.
Look, it's not perfect, right? I'm saying it's gotten better than it was.
It is more interesting. Yeah, he's a more interesting character. But yeah,
maybe just don't walk into an office and kiss like a random.
I mean, yes.
I don't think the Hippocratic Oath says you can do that. But
I'm not sure
maybe things are different in Hong Kong.
I'm not sure how much the forked tongue contributes to his character either. But anyway, I still like the show quite a bit, but these 2 episodes were a lot to take in. But I think we're all at least interested in seeing what they finally arrive at in the end. So, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that is the last show on our list. And we finished in an almost normal amount of time here. So thank you everyone for sticking around on these long episodes. Let's do our housekeeping. You can check us out at theglorioblog.com. Follow us on Blue Sky at glorioblog. You can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Podbean, Stitcher, and YouTube, of course, where you can like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell. Check out our other podcast we have going with Zig Aqua and G 90% of the time. Blue Mondays, the Eureka 7 watch along podcast, alternating every week with this podcast. Tell your friends, tell your enemies. We'll catch everybody next time.